In April 2014, theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, along with other leading physicists, published an open letter to humanity on the existential risk the development of artificial intelligence poses to our species. In plain black and white terms, Hawking warned that success in creating AI would be the big event in human history. Unfortunately, it might also be the last. Will artificial intelligence make humans extinct?
Welcome to Age of the Obsolete, the weekly podcast that examines the intersection of technology, democracy, and the future of work. I'm your host, John Ravito. One of the problems with predicting how technology will impact the future is that we have only the present as reference. As such, our predictions are invariably about things rather than behaviors, what will be rather than what will happen. But as we know, every new technology arrives with a set of consequences. Some we can surmise, others unintended. Consider Arthur Galton, a botanist at Yale. Galton's method to make soybeans flower earlier. Little did he know that his research would one day be used to create the deadly herbicide Agent Orange. And then there was the case of thalidomide. Initially considered a wonder drug, it was released in the late 1950s to treat anxiety and hypertension, and recommended as an over-the-counter treatment for morning sickness in pregnant women. Unfortunately, it was soon discovered that thalidomide also caused limb deficiencies, deformed eyes, and blindness. Approximately 10,000 cases of thalidomide birth defects were recorded before the drug was pulled from the market in 1962. There are literally hundreds of examples from science, medicine, and technology about new discoveries gone awry. But perhaps the most memorable comes not from the everyday world, but from the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, in the form of HAL, the computer. When asked to describe itself, HAL answers that
the 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
But of course that wasn't the case. By the end of the film, HAL has tried to take over the spacecraft's powers while killing all but one of the crew on board, both actions being in direct contradiction to its programming. In 1942, the science fiction writer Isaac Asimov foresaw the problems that could arise from computers and robots guided by artificial intelligence. In his short story, The Runaround, Asimov postulated 3 laws that would prevent a robot from turning on its human masters.
The first law is as follows. A robot may not harm a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey orders given it by qualified personnel unless those orders violate rule number 1. In other words, a robot can't be ordered to kill a human being. Rule number 3, a robot must protect its own existence. After all, it's an expensive piece of equipment. Unless that violates rules 1 or 2. A robot must cheerfully go into self-destruction if it is in order to follow an order or to save a human life.
While workable for robots, Asimov's laws fall short when applied to artificial intelligence, primarily because they fail to address the societal consequences of a world pervaded by AI-driven technology. Not since the dawn of the atomic age has a single issue presented us with so many questions as does the rise of artificial intelligence. While we understand the benefits, the potential dangers remain speculative and open to argument. Most salient points of discussion include 1. Whether or not the widespread implementation of artificial intelligence will result in the permanent loss of jobs for a significant portion of the population. 2. If this occurs, How will we address permanent unemployment in a two-tiered society? 3. How should we distribute wealth so as to prevent a further widening of the economic divide? 4. How will humans interact with machines that approximate our humanity? 5. How can we guard against human bias infecting machines? 6. What will it mean to be human when artificial intelligence and genetic engineering are applied to our minds and bodies? Every one of these questions harbors the threat of dangers unforeseen. How we answer them will determine whether those dangers materialize or fade into the mist of speculation. This is John Rivito saying thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or want additional information on any of the topics covered in these podcasts, please go to our website at Age of the Obsolete. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.